Hello, my name is Harita, and this presentation is titled Hazards, Risks and Conservation Measures, a Heritage Impact Assessment Geodatabase of Indus Civilization and Chalcolithic Sites of Gujarat, India. The state of Gujarat in India has diverse geography from tectonically active region of Kutch to the Deccan Plateau and coastal plains of Saurashtra and the alluvial, aeolian and pedic plains along with structural hills on the mainland. With such diverse geography comes a range of natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, landslides, and erosion, to name a few. With that in mind, the aim of this study was to create a geodatabase along with risk maps of archaeological sites in Gujarat. Each site in the geodatabase was provided with 5 attributes: name, coordinates, hazard, risk, and conservation strategy. The name and coordinates were collected from field visits and previous works. The hazard datasets were generated using various techniques such as satellite remote sensing, geographic information systems, and machine learning. Their quantitative risk to archaeological sites was characterized into high, medium, and negligible based on the impact on the structure or the area of the sites. Finally, the geodatabase also provides conservation measures to mitigate risks involving various stakeholders such as academicians, heritage managers, and the public. The data collection for archaeological sites was done by gathering the names and coordinates from various previous works. After cross-checking and ground truthing, a final selection of 508 sites has been made. These sites are all from the Indus civilization and regional Chalcolithic cultures, and they are estimated to have flourished during the period from approximately 4000 to 1300 BC. Some of the previous works that have contributed to this collection are acknowledged here. The next step of the study involved creating hazard datasets. 7 hazards were selected that were deemed to affect Gujarat in general. A variety of methods were used in developing these hazard datasets. Each hazard was calibrated for the study area using specific techniques that were suitable for its nature and characteristics. To accomplish this, a range of tools and technologies were utilized, including Geographic Information Systems ArcGIS Pro and freely available satellite remote sensing data. Spatial analysis combined with machine learning techniques and multi-criteria decision making was employed to process and analyze the data. Soil erosion was measured using revised universal soil loss equation, which takes into account factors such as rainfall, soil's natural susceptibility, slope of the area, and land use. To calibrate floods and landslides, multi-criteria decision making was used. This method considers several parameters including elevation, slope, aspect, curvature, rainfall average or deviation, drainage density, topographic wetness index, stream power index, lithology, soil type, geomorphology, normalized difference vegetation index, land use land cover, and distance from lineaments, rivers, and roads. To assess earthquake hazard, an indicator-based assessment was used. This involved evaluating the distance from epicenters of magnitude 5 or greater earthquake and their impact on the site's typology. To evaluate urban development and agriculture, land use was mapped using image classification. Finally, the excess growth of vegetation near archaeological sites was assessed using the vegetation index. These are the final datasets generated for the study area using open access data and ArcGIS Pro. The main objective of this study, however, was to assess the potential impact of hazards on archaeological sites and the likelihood of them turning into risk. To achieve this, a novel approach was adopted. Risk can be divided as a product of hazard and the value loss of the sites. For many cultural heritage sites, values such as aesthetics, economic value, social or religious importance are taken into account, but these values cannot be easily measured for archaeological sites. Therefore, the physical site was considered the primary value. To measure the value loss of the sites, the scale provided by ICROM and the Canadian Conservation Institute was used. An overlay analysis was conducted in GIS by superimposing the archaeological site polygons and the hazard datasets. The value loss was scored based on the percentage of the site in high or very high hazard zones. For instance, if entire site or 100% of the site lies in high or very high hazard zone, the value loss would be scored 5. And if just 0.02% lies in high or very high hazard zone, the value loss would be scored 0.5. After conducting a spatial overlay analysis, it was discovered that 40 sites were at risk of soil erosion, 188 were at risk of flooding, 26 were at risk of earthquakes, and only 3 were at risk of landslides. Similarly, excess vegetation seemed to threaten 64 archaeological sites. 38 have been engulfed by urban development, and 361 lie in agricultural fields. Finally, it is important to not only assess the risk but also to plan for ways to mitigate them. This study proposes conservation strategies for all the sites that are at high risk from any hazard. To do so, the strategic guidelines of the World Heritage Convention's 5Cs are followed. While these were initially created for World Heritage sites in the Budapest Declaration of 2002, they are now being used for all cultural heritage sites. The first of the 5Cs, credibility, focuses on strengthening the credibility of World Heritage List. The second, conservation, emphasizes the need for effective conservation of World Heritage properties. The third, capacity building, promotes the development of effective capacity building in state parties. The fourth, communication, aims to increase public awareness, involvement, and support through communication. The fifth, communities, aims to enhance the role of communities. In India, sites that are of national importance are protected under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act of 1958. Out of 508 sites in this study area, 7 are protected sites. However, the Act only defines an archaeological value for these sites without any explanation. To understand why they are protected, we can speculate that these sites may provide significant scientific knowledge and technological innovation from the Chalcolithic period, and these sites are not located on private properties and can serve as tourist attractions. If this is the criteria for protection, many other sites listed here can also be protected. While some of these potential sites are under no risk, some are being threatened by serious floods and require protection. Here, the risk associated with archaeological sites can be divided into 4 categories: immediate, long-term, minimal, and irreversible. Immediate risk refer to events that require immediate attention, such as floods and vegetation growth. If not addressed in a timely manner, these risks can result in the loss of the site. Maintenance and excavation are necessary to ensure the preservation of such sites. In some cases, the construction of a dome or superstructure may be required to shield from external factors. Long-term risks include erosion and earthquakes. Conservation techniques like revegetation and prohibition of grazing are required to prevent surface erosion. To protect some sites from earthquakes, like the Dholavira World Heritage Site, structural reinforcement may also be necessary. Irreversible risks such as urban development and agriculture require digital conservation methods to ensure the preservation of these sites. Since excavation is difficult in these locations, non-destructive geophysical evaluations of unexcavated sites may also be effective. Simply put, in order to effectively manage, conserve, and preserve these archaeological sites, it is necessary to periodically monitor and implement preventive conservation measures, both for protected and unprotected sites. Effective communication is vital in heritage management. Digital conservation of sites can be a great way to achieve this. In this study, along with geodatabase of sites, hazard and risk maps, 3D models of some sites have been created. These models were made for excavated sites that have some information available in the public domain in the form of layouts, images, or text descriptions. Combining this information with digital terrain models and contours, the final 3D model was generated using ArcGIS Pro and SketchUp Pro. The final model includes 3 levels of information: an elevation of the land layer, a layout of the site, and a 3D model. An example is shown here. In summary, here A digital archive of 508 archaeological sites with risk maps has been made. As discussed in the beginning, this database contains 5 attributes. An example is shown here. First comes the name and the coordinate of the archaeological site, followed by the hazard data set of the study area. Then this was superimposed on the archaeological site based on the percentage of the site that lies in high or very high hazard zone. It was decided whether the site is under risk or not. Finally, a conservation strategy to deal with the risk is proposed. To conclude, this study promotes sustainable development. It has created a comprehensive geodatabase of archaeological sites that can be accessed by various stakeholders such as academics, students, heritage managers, and the general public. The purpose of this database is to raise awareness and promote accurate information that can aid decision making. The study also recognizes the importance of innovation and technology in promoting sustainable development. It provides a framework for using digital tools to conduct risk assessments and promote effective heritage conservation. The study provides a framework for integrating spatial analysis in risk assessments. By using digital archives and technology, archaeological sites that are located on private properties or agricultural lands can be preserved while physical excavation could cause damage. The study also integrated the potential impacts of climate change on archaeological sites. The sites studied here are vulnerable to natural hazards. By developing risk maps, attempts can be made to protect them from immediate disturbances and prepare them for the long-term effects of environmental change. Thank you for your time.